Could ancient clay tablets reveal a forgotten world that existed long before the Great Flood? What secrets of a lost civilization are hiding in plain sight, etched into the records of ancient Sumer? These Sumerian tablets are some of the oldest written records we have, dating back thousands of years. They're like a window into the past, giving us a glimpse of life in ancient Mesopotamia. But nestled within these ancient texts is a provocative idea: the possibility of a highly advanced civilization that was wiped out by a catastrophic flood, a world that existed before the one we know. Now, interpreting these ancient texts is a huge challenge. The cuneiform script can be ambiguous, and the cultural context is often lost to time. Many mainstream scholars are rightly skeptical of sensational claims about pre-flood civilizations. It's incredibly easy to let speculation run wild, so our job is to carefully examine the evidence and try to separate fact from fiction. The biggest hurdle is that we are dealing with a mix of history, myth, and legend. How do we tell which is which? Are these stories literal accounts, or are they symbolic tales meant to teach a lesson? This is the central mystery we are diving into today. Let's start with one of the most famous and perplexing documents, the Sumerian king list. This incredible artifact lists the kings of Sumer, city by city. But here's where it gets strange. The list is divided into two parts: kings who ruled before the flood and those who ruled after. The kings who ruled after the flood have somewhat reasonable reigns, maybe a few decades, which is believable. But the kings from before the flood? Their reigns are described as lasting for tens of thousands of years. One king, Alulum, is said to have ruled for 28,800 years. His successor, Alunga, for 36,000 years. This is obviously impossible for a single human. So, what's going on here? Skeptics argue these are mythological figures or that the numbers are symbolic, perhaps representing an era of divine stability. But what if there's another explanation? What if these aren't individual kings, but dynasties? Or what if the Sumerians used a different way of counting time? The text is very clear. After the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridu. It presents this pre-flood era as a historical fact. Then it says, then the flood swept over. This clear division in their own historical record is what makes it so tantalizing. It forces us to ask, were they trying to tell us about a real, unimaginably ancient past that was lost to a great cataclysm? And the flood story doesn't just appear on the king list. It's a central theme in Sumerian mythology, most famously in the Epic of Gilgamesh. This epic poem, one of the oldest works of literature in the world, tells the story of the hero King Gilgamesh on his quest for immortality. During his journey, he meets a man named Utnapishtim, a survivor of a great flood sent by the gods to destroy humanity. Utnapishtim's story is strikingly similar to the story of Noah in the Bible. He was warned by a god to build a giant boat, gather his family, and the seeds of all living things, and seal the door before a massive deluge covered the world. The parallels are so strong that many scholars believe the biblical account was heavily influenced by this much older Mesopotamian tale. The Sumerians didn't just have one flood story, they had several. The Eridu Genesis, another ancient text, also describes the creation of man and the subsequent decision by the gods to destroy humanity with a flood, with one man, Ziusudra, being saved to preserve life on Earth. The consistent theme of a world-ending flood across multiple, independent Sumerian texts suggests this event was deeply ingrained in their cultural memory. Was it just a myth to explain the destructive power of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, or was it the memory of a real, cataclysmic event that reshaped their world and marked the end of a previous age? Perhaps the most compelling piece of the puzzle is a specific artifact known as the Weld-Blundell prism. It's a four-sided clay prism, beautifully inscribed with the Sumerian king list in cuneiform. It's one of the most complete versions we have, and it's this prism that so clearly separates the pre-flood and post-flood kings. Holding it, or even just seeing it, you feel the weight of history. The inscription ends with the line, "Then the flood swept over." After the flood had swept over, and the kingship had descended from heaven, the kingship was in Kish. It's stated as a simple fact, a transition from one era to another. This isn't just a vague legend, it's presented as part of a formal, chronological list of rulers. Could this be the Sumerians' attempt to record their entire history, stretching back into a lost golden age? An age where kings were godlike and ruled for millennia, an age of incredible advancement and knowledge that was all washed away. The prism doesn't prove that this world existed, but it stands as a powerful testament to the Sumerians' belief that it did. It leaves us staring at a profound possibility, that our recorded history is incomplete, and that the stories of a great flood are echoes of a real, forgotten chapter in the human story. So, while we don't have definitive proof of a lost civilization before the Great Flood, the Sumerian tablets offer tantalizing clues. The king list, the epic myths, and artifacts like the World-Blundell Prism all point to a deeply held belief in a former world and a cataclysm that ended it. They paint a picture of a past far more mysterious than we can imagine. What are your thoughts on all this? Do you think the Sumerians were recording actual history, or are these just elaborate myths? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring ancient mysteries and forgotten histories, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the past. Thanks for watching.